Hey, welcome back to the Cody Alford Show. Do you ever feel like you're just, I don't know, kind of going through the motions, really unfulfilled with what you're doing and where you're at in life? Well, if you stick around for today's show, I'm going to help you shift that perspective and completely reframe the way you're looking at your life currently. Because let's be real here, it's really easy to fall trap to like looking so far in advance at what we don't have. And it's so easy to overlook where we're at right now in the present to what we do have. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Before I begin, I want to thank my sponsor, Try Neuro Supplements. Guys, I've been on Try Neuro Supplements now for going on 6 months. And it has absolutely changed my life. Let me tell you how it's changed my life. More memory, more focus, more abilities to start and finish tasks. One of the biggest issues was I would start a task and then I'd have all these projects that I never completed because I get sidetracked, distracted, all this type of stuff. And Try Neuro has really helped me get my life back, gain back my control of my life, right? Stop being controlled by my brain. Being a veteran myself and having numerous traumatic brain injuries, Try Neuro Supplement has aided me to function at my highest level. If that sounds like something you want to function at your high level, you're tired of popping rain and prescription pills, and you're looking for something that's designed by an actual neurosurgeon, designed by a dude who's actually worked on brains and spines, who is involved in the brain function world, Try Neuro Supplements for you. The great thing for all my listeners, if you go to tryneurosupplements.com and use the code DEFY20 in all caps, at checkout, that's DEFY20, you can save 20% off your order. And let's be real here. It's the best of the market. I've done Alpha Brain. I've done all the other nootropics that are very fancy and flashy out there, great marketing, advertising. Nothing has compared to Try Neuro Supplements. All right, let's dive right into this episode. So I had the pleasure of going back to Camp Pendleton, California. That's where I started my Marine Corps career. I joined in 2003. My very first unit to ever join was 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. And so we went back there a couple weekends ago for our 20-year Fallujah reunion. Now, Fallujah, out of all my combat deployments over 15 plus years, Fallujah was the craziest thing I've ever encountered in my life. It was the most scared I've ever been. Most fearful, most emotional roller coaster I've ever experienced in my life. And, we're talking about 3 to 4, sometimes 5, 6, sometimes never ending gunfights every day. I'm not talking about once a week, once a month. I'm literally talking about every day, multiple times a day. You're fighting for your life in some capacity. It was like picture all your war movies combined into, I don't know, one. And live that for 7 months. And that's what myself and the other brave men of 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, as well as all the other Marines that were on this deployment as well. Well, so I'm back at this reunion. And it was extremely therapeutic for me. I got to see a friend of mine who's no longer with us. He actually died on April 26, 2004 on top of a rooftop. Actually died on the way to medical aid. But his name was Aaron Austin. And myself and my buddy Ben, who was another Marine on my sniper team, Ben and I are the ones that carried Aaron off this roof, and we were able to see Aaron's mom. And I met her once 20 years ago, and then when I saw her again this time, I instantly just started crying. I just lost it. And I went to this reunion because I was looking to close some chapters in my life. I've been really haunted by that deployment for 20 years now. And I've really turned the leaf of finding the good in all of it. But it's still very hard to face every day of my life. Every day I think about that deployment. Call it PTSD, call it whatever you want. But I'm so grateful of those memories and those feelings because it reminds me who I am. Well, being back on Camp Pendleton, I ran into a bunch of Marines and that follow me on social media. I've been very blessed. God has magnified my voice in the military, especially the United States Marine Corps, because I was a Marine. And a lot of these young Marines look up to me for various reasons. And I had a lot of Marines come up to me. One of the most common things that I got from these young guys was that they're unfulfilled. They feel like they're not serving their purpose of why they joined the military. And they feel like they're cheated. They feel like they joined for something else. They joined to make a difference, and they feel like they're not doing it. Now, let's be real here. Social media has perverted the minds of our young men and women to think that to be successful, you got to have, the Ferrari, or to be successful or to be worthy of being called a veteran or be in the service, you need to be into war, blah, blah, blah. All these silly things, which, ladies and gentlemen, it's not true. It's not true at all. You don't need those things to be a man or a woman. You don't need those things to define you. But a lot of you right now, you're doing a job or you're living a life where you're feeling unfulfilled. You think you should be further along than you are. You feel like you should have more for your life than you do. And that's costing you literally everything. It's costing you everything that you actually want for yourself, because your perspective is completely screwed, because you've allowed yourself, unknowingly, you've allowed yourself to put a limit. No one is a better psychological operations specialist than yourself. Now, granted, the government's really great at it. TV's really great at it. The media's really great at it. Politics are really great at it. But you're really great at it. You know why? Because no one spends more time with you than you. You're constantly inside your head, and whether y'all want to admit it or not, you're constantly having this dialogue, this back and forth dialogue, not only with yourself, but with consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, for you, right? This is your life. You have your own reality. And when these young men came up to me and they're like, oh, I've been in like 4 years. I'm completely unfulfilled. I'm not happy. The number one thing I do at this point is I ask them, what does fulfillment mean to you? What does happiness mean to you? Most of the times they can't even give me a definition of what that means. They can't even tell me what that means to them. And so then I ask them, well, then how do you know you're not doing it? They all say this is their rebuttal. I want to make a difference. So I ask them, what does making a difference mean? They can't give me a reason. So I ask them, what makes you think you're not making a difference now? If you can't give me a definition of what you think that you're not, how do you know you are not already doing it? That's the problem, right? We say that we want something. We say that we can't, we're not doing something, but 9 times out of 10, we can't even clearly articulate what it is that we don't have, what it is that we're not doing. What kind of mental prison is that? Nobody wants to be there, but yet we willingly submit ourselves to that all the time. Because we are trying to control the narrative. We, as in our ego, as in our flesh, we're trying to control the narrative on how we live and how we experience things. Guys, if I allowed myself to control the narrative on how I experience things, I would honestly, just being completely honest, I'd probably be dead. Just being perfectly honest. I'd probably give up on myself. And that ain't never going to happen. That's like, you can take that to the bank. That's never going to happen in my life. If I control the narrative, that means I have limits on the narrative. If I let go of what control is, and I embrace it for what the experience has to offer, then I can become successful. Because I'm taking the weight off the world off of my shoulders, and I'm giving it to my actions, to my servitude. There's a difference. If you're unfulfilled because you don't know what fulfillment means to you, then of course you're going to feel lost and inadequate. So I asked these guys, I'm like, hey, so are you training your men? They're like, yeah. I'm like, has anyone said, hey, I appreciate this. Have you noticed a difference in how they perform? They're like, yeah. I'm like, then how is that not making an impact? And they're like, well, I'm like, so I stopped them. I'm like, well, because you think an impact means you have to go to war and like come back maimed, missing limbs, dead, have dead friends, have PTSD. You think that's what makes you making a difference? That's how we are brainwashing this next generation. This next generation of voters, constitutional protectors, leaders, mothers, fathers, politicians. That's how we're breeding that next generation. We're breeding the next generation to feel so inadequate that they don't even see what's right in front of them. These young men that I got to talk to that are young Marines, they've been in the Marine Corps like 2-3 years. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's a long time, but that's not that long though. It's longer than 99.9% of Americans because most Americans will never serve, and it is what it is. We can't all be 1%ers, right? But 2-3 years, you're still young, man. You have a very skewed mindset. And let's be real here. These dudes they want to get some. They want to get some. But what they forget is that before 20 years ago, before the global war on terrorism, there was a whole military that did not go to war. Why is it war? Why is it always war? Why is it always the dick measuring contest that makes us feel like we're actually doing the thing? Of course, people want to be tested. But this is my problem. This is my problem with what we view as leadership and cool and savage and gangster is linear views of what those words actually are. You know, I rose to the ranks in the Marine Corps very fast. To be perfectly transparent, I was the fastest one to pick up Marine Master Sergeant or E8 in the Marine Corps. And a humbling experience, super freaking awesome because I got to get in these positions and lead more people, which meant I got to take care of more people, stand up for more people. That also means I peeked behind the curtains way earlier in my career, and I got to see how these meetings took place, and I got to see all these caliber of dudes that were savages and hardcore and freaking rad and killer. I got to see these guys in these meetings about personal development or sticking up for their troops, and these dudes crumbled. They were weak. But the whole world thought they were savage because they like smoked a bunch of dudes on deployment, or were like hardcore because they threw a grenade or rushed into a room, right? Something heroic or badass or flat out crazy in combat. They had this status, and guys praised them for that status. But behind closed doors, or even in public, they were not good leaders. They were linear leaders. They were only good for war. And I got a newsflash for you, guys and girls listening to this. War is not hard. Is it psychologically hard? Oh, absolutely. But let's just call it what it is. If I start shooting at you, you're going to figure out very quickly where you stand on the spectrum. You're either going to participate or you're not going to participate. You're either going to want to live or you're not going to want to live. Those are pretty easy decisions to make for yourself, especially when you're getting lead thrown at you. You're going to decide very quickly where you stand. That's easy. But when you're in garrison, as they call it, being back home, or when you're in your corporate world or your family's household and all this type of stuff, and you have an opportunity to truly make an impact and a difference, and you don't, you're just a basic. You're basic. Who wants to be basic? But so many people subscribe to being basic because they overlook what actually making a difference is really about. They're so focused on serving themselves and serving others, they don't even see the impact that they're having. When you serve yourself, when you're only focused on yourself, you will neglect others. And as a leader, no matter how young or senior or advanced you are, whether you're in a leadership position or not, whether you're getting paid for it or not, as a leader, it's not about you. It's not about you. So when you're looking at your life now and you're like, man, I'm so unfulfilled and I'm so lost and this isn't what I expected. What did you expect? Truthfully, what did you expect? Oh, you wanted to make a difference? Okay, well, what does a difference mean to you? Is impacting one life not good enough for you? Some of you, the answer is no. I want to impact millions. Well, you can't impact millions until you impact one. And that's the difference. That's what people overlook. They don't see what they're doing now is impactful because they're comparing. And when you compare, you're giving away all your power, all those gifts that God gave you, blessed you with, the adversities, the struggles, the hardships, all those opportunities to rise. You throw that away when you start to compare. And so I am so grateful of all the traumatic experiences that I've encountered in my life because they allow me to have a platform to talk to the world and be like, why do you think you need war to be worthy? Why do you, especially my veterans out there, why do you think you need to be missing a leg or go to war 20 times or serve 20 years to rate VA benefits? Why do we do this to ourselves? No wonder our men and women are killing themselves at the cyclic rate because they feel unworthy. They feel purposeless. They feel unfulfilled. And they're constantly searching for that thing that they want to do, which is making a difference. And when they don't feel like they're making a difference, guess what? They're going to do the only thing that they truly know what to do and how to do and what's actually going to make a difference. So they kill themselves or they separate themselves. They run off. They get into drugs. They completely transform their life in the direction that they don't even want to head. But they want to make such a difference, they're willing to do anything. But what they don't see is that they are making a difference. And if we could just get this through our leaders and our subordinate leaders, could you imagine the type of impact that we could actually have? That's why I could never stand the Marine Corps leadership program. Oh my God. So lame. It's the biggest check in the box douchery thing I've ever participated in. The amount of brainwashing that takes place in these, they call PMEs, professional military education, is literally unreal. It's unreal. Here's a fun fact. You can't teach leadership the way they teach it. Because it's so linear. It's so black and white to them. This is how you screw over a Marine. This is how you write an award. This is how you march properly. No one cares. Tell me how to critically think. Tell me how to think differently. Tell me how to see a situation and not go to my simple solution, which is like, let me fry this person. Teach me how to become authentic and vulnerable to my troops. So instead of me telling them to suck it up and I have Marines kill themselves on duty, how about I actually let them know with compassion that we do have an open door policy. And by open door policy, I mean my mouth will open first because I know as a leader, it is my duty to lead first at all times. Hey, if you guys are ever going through something hard, you can always come up to me, if you're like a bitch. Yeah, that's exactly what happens in the military. You think people are going to come up and talk to that person? No. Why would they? Because you made a mockery of it when they're actually going through something hard. Why is it all these Marines and all these great leaders in the Marine Corps, in the military, in your corporate world, your small business world, your household, why are they coming up to me asking for leadership and guidance instead of you? Why have we created a system where people feel the need to completely disregard everything they're doing and compare to somebody else? How do you know that what you're doing right now isn't what you're supposed to be doing? How do you know that what you're doing right now is making the impact that you're so much searching for? Let me tell you guys something. I don't know much. I only know my own life experiences and the lessons that I've been blessed to learn and what I'm going through in my own journey. And I remember my very first speaking engagement, my very first paid speaking event. I was speaking in front of 1,500 people. It was crazy. 1,500 people. There's like pyrotechnics and big jumbotron and loud music and 1,500 chairs. It's a lot of chairs. Oh, on top of that, I'm the first speaker after the owner of the event. He opened up for like 30 minutes and then called me on stage, and my first gig was 30 minutes. And I'm standing back behind stage. I'm getting ready to go on. And I'm like, God, I just want to impact one life. Just one. I just want to impact one life. Why would I do that to myself? Why would I say, I got to impact everyone here? I got to impact these 1,500 people. Would I want to do that? Would I like to do that? Absolutely. Is that realistically? Absolutely not. Same thing in leadership. You're not going to reach everyone as a leader. I don't care who you are. But you can reach one. You can reach one person as a leader. I was that one person that was reached by my leaders when I was a young man, when I was a young Marine. They impacted me. So when I broke free, when I broke away from the pack, from a herd, and I started to rise up in the positions and the power and the opportunities, I didn't forget how they touched me and impacted me. How their leadership, good and bad, taught me invaluable lessons. Some of you are so focused on the world, which that's not even your place. Even Jesus couldn't convince everybody. Even Jesus couldn't get everyone to hop on board. That wasn't his role. That wasn't his purpose. So why are you trying to put all this pressure on yourself to do something like that? Oh, I'm not making a difference because I don't feel well. Well, how do your people feel? Do they feel good? People tell me all the time. I get messages all the time on social media like, oh, Cody, you've impacted my life. Thanks so much. I'm like, damn, I appreciate that. But, I'm going through the ringer right now. I'm suffering. But because I'm choosing to bare my soul on social media, that is helping someone out not feel alone. They're gaining different perspectives to shift their life. But it's not easy for me. But I know it's not about me because something inside me is literally telling me, sacrifice your comfort, put yourself out there, show yourself. I know what the price is to do that. I know what that means. I know what's at stake here. Yet I do it anyways because I'm called to inside. And the only security I find in that is my faith and my understanding that I cannot, nor am I, here to please everybody. I'm here to shine my light. And you listening to this right now as a leader, as a subordinate, as someone who's not even in a paid leadership role, you can still make a difference by shining your light. Can you teach someone something? Good, you just impacted them. Can you help them shift their perspective from their crappy day-to-day? Good. You just impacted somebody. You just made a difference. Only us put these rules on what a difference actually is. And here's the crazy thing. When you put a cap on your mind and your potential about what making a difference is, you're never going to see the actual difference you are making. Therefore, you're going to live the duration of your life feeling inadequate, unfulfilled, and you're going to die no matter what. Or you can let go of all your natural desires and expectations of the world, what you think right looks like, and just do you, be you, and serve, and you're still going to die. That's the gift we all have, is death. But what we do between now and then, that is freedom. So if you want freedom from your own mind, freedom from your own oppression, you got to let go. You got to ask yourself, well, what really is an impact? Because if you continue to live this way, you're going to constantly be searching for that dragon to slay, and it's going to cost you more than you're expecting. It probably might even cost you more than you're willing to sacrifice for it. Because here's the thing, to bring in something, you got to give up something. I have so many friends that are still trying to slay that dragon. They're trying to chase that high, chase that rush of gunfighting. They either feel inadequate because they didn't do enough in the military, or they never get to do this one thing. And so they're still riding that wave. And, you know, some of them live. Some of them are dead. Some of them are dead while living. They're just checked out of reality, checked out of their families because they're suffering inside. And I hate that for them. That's why I do what I do. That's why I share what I share. Because maybe one day my friends will listen to these things and shift their perspective. Maybe one day my friends will actually see how beautiful they are and how much impact they're truly capable of continuously making. They're just on a different mission now. I'm tired of my friends killing themselves. Why do you guys think I do what I do? I hate that so much. So what I want for you as we conclude this episode is I want you to ask yourself the definition of what it is you're actually looking for. And then I want you to open your heart and open your mind. And I want you to ask yourself this. Am I not already doing this? Is one soul not enough? Is one person impact not enough? Because if you're too good for one person, trust me, you will never be blessed with millions. If you're too good to impact one life, God would never, ever, ever give you the opportunity to impact millions. Why would you? You don't even see the one life as important. But only you can decide that. Only you can shift your perspective. Only you can open your heart and open your mind. Because maybe what you're doing isn't the right way. And that's okay. You don't suck. You're not a failure. You've had to get to where you're at today to get to where you're at today. Man, if I look back at my life, I'm like, man, how small I was playing all those years. Whew. I'd be in mental prison right now. And that would suck. Because I've already been in mental prison before. And that is not a place I want to be in. That place is lonely and dark. And you talk to my wife. She's like, yep, that version of me sucked. So if you want to change this narrative about I'm not fulfilled, I want to make a difference, but I'm not, because you're comparing and you're building this like fallacy of what an actual difference is. I want you to really consider reframing that approach. I want you to really reconsider what it is you're doing. You know, one of my favorite things when it comes to veterans, I love thanking them for their service. One, that stuff used to trigger me back in the day. I didn't know how to handle it because I had a lot of trauma associated with it. But when I see the veterans now, I ask them, hey, do you have all your VA benefits? And then I say, thank you for your service. And they get all weirded because they've heard me on the Sean Ryan show, or they know of me through social media or through real life. And they're like, oh, I didn't do anything like you do. I'm like, it's not about doing what I did. You signed the same dotted line that I did. And that is what makes all the difference. When you look at what you're struggling with in the eyes of servitude, it will change everything. Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode. If you like what you hear, like what you see, please subscribe. All the information for all the links that I have available for you to enhance your life in any way to get a hold of me will be in the comment section below. Until next time.